Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Ray, and today's video is going to be slightly different. I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite books that I've read in like the past 2 years because I've recently picked up reading again. Post-grad, I'm discovering I don't have that many hobbies, so I've been trying to experiment with new things, and reading has been a love of mine for the past few years now, and I wanted to share some books that have helped grow that love as well as help get me out of a reading slump, because there are just some moments where reading just doesn't sound fun, and these books that I'm going to share just like helped spark that love. If you see me looking down, I have my notes on my phone of like books that I want to share because I don't have the physical copy of some of these books. I only have the online one because I read it on my Kindle, but I have essentially two categories. I'm going to share some honorable mentions, and then I have 10 books that I want to share with you guys. And within those 10 books, I have it kind of more lighthearted and fun, and then some like mystery thriller books. So let's get into it. So for honorable mentions, I have 3 books that I want to share with you guys. And some of you may roll your eyes at these books, but I truly love them. They are so fun to read. I might not necessarily reread them again in the near future, but when I do, I know I'm going to love them again because these books, I still think about them constantly. And the first one I know is gonna be very like, really, Ray, this is what you're including, but Twilight. I love this series. This series got me into reading when I was a kid, like in middle school, and I just love this entire series. It's such nostalgic for me when I read it, reread them, which I did in 2020 with one of my friends because she had never read this series. She had only seen the movies. And I know there are going to be some people out there who have not read the books either, and this is your sign to finally pick up Twilight and go read it because the books are so much better than the movies. So that's why I had to give it an honorable mention. It sparked my love for reading when I was younger, and I just had to share it in this video because it's so iconic. Yes, it's cringe, and yes, it may be problematic now with some of the themes and tropes, but it's still so entertaining. You can just sink your teeth into it and just read the whole series in a weekend kind of thing. So Twilight, this is the first book that I'm gonna do in my honorable mentions. The next book that I'm gonna do is Daisy Jones and the Six. This is my second favorite book from Taylor Jenkins Reid's. I know this book is hit or miss. Like, some people really hate this physical copy, but they love the audiobook. So all I'll say is take it with a grain of salt if you're reading it and you do not like the physical copy because it's written in interview style, which a lot of people didn't like, but I loved because you really got to see each character's personality better and how they processed things and viewed things and recalled things differently. So I really loved it. I loved the physical book, but I know people literally love the audiobook. So if you're reading it and you have a tough time with the physical one, I highly recommend getting the audiobook, because that's what typically the format that people love this book the most in. But this book is enjoyable, and it's getting made into an Amazon series, so like highly recommend reading it before the series comes out, even though I think it's going to translate amazingly to TV. Like, the adaptation's just going to fit so well, so excited for that. And then the last book that I have to mention in my honorable mentions is People We Meet on Vacation. Emily Henry can do no wrong in my world. Like, she is just the queen of romance books. And this is an honorable mention because I'm not typically a friends to lovers romance trope. If there's enough tension and you can see the relationship, sure. This one was sweet. It was so delectably sweet. However, it is a slow burn, baby. Like, we took a minute to get there, but once we got there, man, was it great. So you really get to see the character relationship in this one develop over the years because there's 2 timelines, and you really get to see the foundation grow and then where they're at now. So really good. It's also kind of like a second chance romance, if that makes sense. So if you're looking for something light, definitely recommend this one. Also, like, cover's so cute, perfect for spring, summertime, highly recommend. Now let's get into my 10 books that I highly recommend you all check out. Yes, some of these are really popular books, but they're popular for a reason. So let's get into it. The first book, this is my holy grail book. I love this book so much. I'm constantly thinking about this book, and that is Beach Read. Oh my God, I love this book so much. I'm planning on rereading it again in the near future. I'm kind of waiting for it to be closer to summertime just because the atmosphere is perfect for summer reading. And I mean, I feel like you guys have probably seen this book a lot online already. Like, it is so talked about, so hyped, and it's perfect for a reason. I will say, if you don't like beach read, odds are you will love People We Meet on Vacation. That's just what I've seen from what I've seen on like my Instagram of my friends reading this and not loving it, but they love the other one. I enjoyed both thoroughly. Emily Henry is the queen of romance. Like, she, I think, really showed me that romance doesn't have to be cheesy. Like, this has good spicy in it, not too spicy, but then it's also a lot of character development. There's an actual plot. Like, you really get to feel for these characters, and I just love this world that she created. Like, I truly would love for Emily Henry to like go back into this world and maybe talk about some of the other characters and see how their lives turned out or anything like that. I don't know. Like, this book is just so chef's kiss. Like, it is my favorite romance book. It's the one I recommend to all of my friends, especially if they're new into reading. It's just so good. So this is book number 1. The next book that I have is another romance book, and it is Yes and I Love You. I feel like this one's starting to get a little more buzz, which I'm happy about, because this is also such a good romance book. I read this at the end of like kind of last year, and I'm shocked at how much I loved it. I had no expectations going into it, knew nothing about it. I just really liked the cover, and that's why I picked it up. Like, I literally saw no one talking about it, and now I'm its biggest advocate. Like, it is so good. It's another kind of co-workers, friends to lovers situation, kind of fake datingness in there, and it's just so good. There's a lot of representation in this book as well, and a lot of great conversations had that I think are beneficial for people to read about. But it's set in New Orleans, which I think is really fun because I feel like not a lot of books are set there for some reason. So that's also a fun thing about this book. I'm not going to read, honestly, the summaries of this. If you're really interested in it, go check it out. It is kind of thick, but so worth it. Similar to Beach Read in the sense of there's a lot more happening than just the romance. So that's what I really liked about it. And there's another book in this series called What If You and Me that I also read recently and thoroughly enjoyed. And it's following a secondary character in this book. In the next one. So it's still the same world, but different storylines completely. And I also love that one as well. So love this one. I will probably read this one maybe like next year. I reread it. I read it too recently to reread again, you know, but it's so cute, so sweet, just amazing. Highly recommend. The next book is one that's you literally have seen everywhere, and that is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I knew nothing going into this book, and I think that's why I loved it so much. If you go into this book, just set the expectations kind of mid-bar. Don't go in being like, this is gonna be a 5-star read. Everyone loves it. I have to love it. If you go in with like not knowing anything, I think you'll have a better time reading it. But I'm not gonna talk about this one too much because I literally feel like it's everywhere, but it's so good. I highly recommend it. I still constantly think about this book all the time. So I feel like, and it's been over a year since I've read it. So I feel like because of that, it's a good book. And it really did get me out of a reading slump because I had just finished Beach Read and I had read a few other books that just didn't really resonate with me as much, but this one did and made me like fall in love with reading all over again. So would love to see this one be adapted, which it might be. I'm not really sure, but I think this one's amazing. And this is my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book, followed by Daisy Jones and the Six. And the next few books that I have are, I don't have the physical copy for. I read them on my Kindle, and that is Finley Donovan's Finally Killing It. This is a good, cozy mystery if you're wanting to dive more into the mystery genre without being too gruesome, too scary, because it's like a comedy, essentially. Like, there's a lot of like funny moments that I truly laughed out loud while reading, and it just came out with its sequel. So if you were looking for like maybe a two-parter book, this one is that for you. I feel like a lot of people have been talking this one as well, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it was just felt a good book. Like, I could totally see it being into like a comedic movie as well, so highly recommend. And then the last romance book that I have to recommend is In a Holidays. This book is so cute, especially during winter time. So if you're looking for more books for winter, Christmas time to read, highly recommend it. It is so good. It's kind of like a Groundhog's Day, Christmas Day week with the family over and over again as this girl's trying to figure out like what is her purpose for being sent back every day. And it's hilarious. There are some cringy moments, but there's also like some oh my gosh moments. So it's another cute romance, very lighthearted. highly recommend. The next group of books that I have to recommend are kind of more of my mystery thrillery books, and the first one that I have is The Silent Patient. I read this one so fast. Like, I think I bought this at the airport, and then on the plane ride I was like already over halfway through, because that's how quickly I was reading it. It's just hooks you in right away. I know some people find this one to be a bit cliche and that they could guess right away what was going to happen. I didn't, so it was a shock to me. And again, I went in kind of blind reading this book. I had saw people raving about it and saying that they loved it, but that's it. I didn't really dive into their reviews or anything, and I'm so happy I didn't, because it's so good. This is one of my top thrillers that I read of 2021, and I highly recommend it. And yeah, like that's all I have to say. It was just so good. I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but if you're looking for a good thriller, I think this one's it. There is a bit of mystery, but it's definitely more on the thrillery side. The next one that I'm gonna talk about is another very cliche popular one, but that is Verity by Colleen Hoover. This is a popular book for a reason, and this is Colleen's first thriller book, and I heard she's coming out with another one. So if you're looking to get into reading, I think this is a good entry book for thrillers. Was it predictable? Yes. I could see everything coming a mile away. And was it the best writing? No. Was it entertaining though? Yes. This also got me out of a reading slump. It was kind of in the fall time when I was reading this book, and I just was not in the mood to read, and this got me through it. So I would recommend checking it out. I'm not saying it's the best thriller out there, but it's a good entry-level thriller also if you're trying to get more into a new genre. And the last book, not the last book, the next book that I'm going to talk about is The Last Flight. This was the first book that really got me back into my reading after these few years, and it is so good. It's a two-timeline perspective following two different characters, and they meet at the airport to switch identities, and you're kind of discovering why these characters are switching lives, like what got them to this point. And the entire time you're just reading it, going back and forth between each character's timeline, and you're just like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Oh my God. So this is a quick, easy, fast-paced thriller that I highly recommend, and I feel like not a lot of people talk about. Like, a lot of people purchased it but haven't gotten to it yet. So this is a good thriller also if you're trying to get more into a genre. It's not too scary. It's honestly more mystery, quick thinking, trying to connect the dots kind of thing. So highly recommend it. And the last book that I'm going to mention is The Family Upstairs. This book is creepy. Like, this one, you're just like gasping the entire time. It is so creepy. It's a good thriller. There's some good plot twists in there and twists and turns that you just don't see coming. Some you do. I predicted one, but some I literally did not predict at all. And I heard there's going to be a sequel to this one as well. So I'm definitely going to pick it up, because this one is just so crazy, and I would recommend, if you're already into kind of the thriller mystery books, definitely pick this one up if you haven't. This is also a popular book as well, but if you haven't read it yet, this is your sign to go read it now. Okay guys, so those are 10 books that I highly recommend reading if you're in a reading slump right now, or to just add to your TBR, because who doesn't have a long TBR? I would love to though hear your favorite books, or books that you've really enjoyed these past few years, because I'm always looking to add to my TBR, and maybe we've read some of the same books, so let me know down below. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.